Everyone, I'm Clue. So, we've got a new snapshot here for Minecraft, so 23W5A, and I think I'm going to start covering these and actually going through them, because there's a lot of stuff on here that is impactful to me at the very least, and I don't really see it talked about when I see other YouTubers sort of go over these patch notes, because they generally talk about the visual stuff, so to speak, so like the armor trim changes, but you know, last time I covered the command changes, and I haven't actually seen anyone do that. I know Exuma did 23, I think it was, with the ride command changes, but not the stuff that actually affects, say, map making, which is obviously a big part of what I do, is I'm making the map. So command changes like this one down here that we'll go through are actually quite impactful to me, and I think I have something interesting to add in that sense. But anyway, so changes. Updated the create new world screen. So I gotta say, this is sort of like a double-edged sword to me, at least. It has made it a lot more optimal for downloading and using external data packs, but I think it actually works against their new methodology for how you're meant to load and play snapshots with their quote-unquote inbuilt data packs, which are, again, I'm going to say a bit lazy on their part, and they should have kept it in the original method, where if you're on the snapshots, you've got all the features enabled regardless, because it's really not old world friendly to try snapshots. But we'll go through that in a second. So interacting with armor or elytra items in the offhand, we now swap with the equipped gear. So this is very handy, because not that there's a good reason for it in Minecraft, but quick changing. So swapping different headgear. The only ones that can really come to mind are either, obviously, swapping the elytra with your armor, or the turtle helmet if you're going for a swim. But other than that, there's not really any other big items that you want to change on the fly. The enchantment glint has further tweaked, so it's now slower and less visible. I think this is a bit interesting. I haven't actually looked at it in-game. I was completely fine with the old sort of enchant purple glow. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was overbearing. It was nice that you could visibly see from a distance that someone had enchanted gear. But we'll have to take a look at that. Accessibility, not too important. It's just more tooltips and that to enable people with some sort of disadvantage in life to be able to do something a bit better. Updated to create new world screen, so this goes back to that. Just further telling you what it is. Again, it's a sort of visual thing. We'll go through it in a second. The one I really want to talk about is the commands. So, well, I guess we should talk about technical changes if I'm going to start covering it, which probably do a little bit on everything. So override armor material and incompatible armor material. So they've changed it. It's now defined with this parameter rather than this parameter. It only really matters if you were going to make a data pack with custom gear that you wanted to be able to use the trim patterns and trim it. Essentially, these are flags you have to mark on that gear for it to be able to use those different color palettes like it says. Anyway, so commands, effect, and there is now an infinite. This is really good. So what this means is if you use the /effect command to give a player a potion effect, you can now set an infinite timer, which is really good for a few reasons. For one, it means you can set up essentially toggle systems where it gives the player the effects and then you can clear it with the effect clear command. In terms of my map making, if you've seen any of the custom gear I've done where you equip a helmet, it gives you a potion effect. Essentially, I have it pulse on 3-second intervals. With this, I could set up a much more efficient redstone system that just checks the player's gear and then gives them the desired potion effect to an infinite timer. If they unequip the gear, it untoggles, and it would honestly save a lot of server load, so it'd make the command blocks a lot more efficient. Okay, experimental feature. This is a big one that everyone has sort of been showing off. Armor trims can now be applied to leather armor. I was curious why they didn't do this initially. Makes sense. If you can trim everything else, why not leather? I guess because leather, you could dye it, so there might have been some issues on the back end that they've corrected, but now you can dye leather armor and you can trim it, so definitely has a lot more cosmetic changes than any other armor group. Okay, and armor can have trims of the same material it was made out of. So people obviously use the diamond glitch where you trim diamond and then upgrade to netherite to be able to trim netherite with netherite. And a lot of people like that because the trim is a slightly darker tone, so it kind of looks like you have layered armor. So they just, I guess, went back and said, well, we'll just enable it for everything. If you're going to cheat out netherite anyway, we might as well make it for everything. I go either way on this. I kind of like the exclusivity of not being able to trim certain gear with certain materials. It just from a design aspect, there's a lot of avenues you can go with that. I built a system where netherite trim gave a bonus that other trims didn't. That system has to be reworked now, but that's my map, so we won't talk about that too much. They've also tweaked just the Dune armor. I doubt I will be able to see because I didn't really inspect them that closely, but loot tables for smithing templates have been adjusted. So this was probably my biggest gripe. So if you were to find a trim pattern, why would you bother trimming any gear other than netherite? It is just completely cost ineffective because you have to spend diamonds or you have to find, more trim templates, and they were very rare. It's now guaranteed in a lot of places. So for instance, the common armor trims now always generate 2 templates in a chest when found. So that's more stack size, but there are stuff like, where is it? The Woodland Mansions, greatly increased chance. Across the board, smithing templates have been made slightly more common. So the general idea is you're able to find them a lot sooner and you are able to waste them without feeling like you shouldn't have, which is really good because it's back to incentivizing you to actually play around and trim early gear rather than just going straight to netherite. Although netherite is technically harder to find, it's not really. It's in a sense easier because you strip mine for netherite and all you have to do is go to a bastion, and bastions are not obviously hard to find. I think they should have gone the opposite way with this one. So instead of the netherite upgrades being twice common, they should have been halved. And that way it sort of delays getting netherite even further. You really have to gear up and explore, and it would make the nether a bit harsher because you have to travel out further. But anyway, we'll hop in game and we'll take a look at the new create world screen. Right, so here we are. Now, I just want you to imagine you're somewhat of a new player. You've seen the snapshots, you've seen everyone talking about the armor, and you really want to try it out. So you go ahead, you download the Minecraft snapshot, you want to create a new world. You're a single player, you normally get prompted, but you can create a new world, and you're met with this menu. So you now have your game, you can rename it, swap the game mode, keep it survival without cheats, blah, 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 set the generation settings. But to actually play with the armor, you have to click over here to more. So already there's completely less incentive for you to be able to try out the new armor because the feature is locked behind this new menuing screen. So again, initially the data packs were on this game screen, which made a lot more sense to me because obviously it's right in your face. It's a lot harder to miss, but right now you have to go to this more option, and then you have to actually be conscious and know that you have to go to data packs and you have to enable the features. Because if you don't enable them, if you generate the world, there is no way to turn them on without sort of cheating it. And to be honest, to me, that is a really bad change because the whole point of having a snapshot world is you want to try out the features. And if you have to go through all this menuing that people won't know is commonplace, it's going to be a lot harder and it's going to be quite frustrating when you create a new world. You're looking for all these things, you think something's broken, you think you haven't downloaded it correctly. It's just a lot less player friendly in my opinion. The reason I can assume they've done it is to obviously separate because data packs are more in line with map generation or custom things. People make data packs for you to play with. So having them in this second or secondary screen is better for the long term because lots of players don't play around with data packs or game rules, so there is no point to have them on this screen and bombard them with that information. But in terms of their feature generation, I think they need to separate from data packs because again, I've gone over this, they're not actually data packs. You cannot locate them in any data pack folder. You cannot just copy them over. You can't enable them that way. They have to be enabled here on this screen or flagged in the actual game file using something like NBT Explorer. So I think what they need to do next is separate the data packs from here because again, they're not data packs, they're still inbuilt features, and put it on this menu as a snapshot thing. Just have snapshot features on or off and just enable them all. Because again, the bundles, it's kind of weird. It's weird that this is here, but there's a lot of experimental features like cleaving or some of the combat changes that aren't here as a enableable data pack, which I think should be. But I think just roll them all into one and have it here as a toggle. So just on or off if you want to play with snapshot features. Again, you can limit it. You don't need that option appearing in normal Minecraft. You only have to have it on the snapshot downloads. So it would be something just to flag in whatever option they use to generate the GUI. Anyway, that's the new snapshot notes. Hope you enjoyed.